Alright guys, welcome to Edutainment for Us. Today I'm going to dig deep into our politics, even though I'm not on Life Saga TV. Life Saga TV will be in the evening and I'll be having more stories to share. So because of my watch hours guys, I realized that there is a lot of politics today and I had to go deep into it guys. So if you are living in Kenya or you have family in Kenya, do you think Kenya can be a failed state? That is the debate currently. On many shows I've watched, including Ogobina, Bold, and many other channels, I've watched discussions surrounding Kenya. So can Kenya become a failed state? You can share your comments in the comment section, type, and let's see what you think about this. So I'll be showing some receipts here and there just to prove what some people think. Now, Babu has been on Spice, and equally, we've seen also somebody else was in parliament for a very long time, coming in parliament and sharing that Kenya is going to be a failed state if people don't take precaution. Now, what precaution do they expect actually Kenyans to take is to be wise in. And this is something I keep repeating because most times people say, I don't want to listen to politics, it's headache and all that. It's our headache. It's not anybody's headache because as far as you're in Kenya or your family is in Kenya, you're gonna feel it. You will be feeling it right there. Of course, Raphael Tuju. Raphael Tuju is one of the people who has worked even in Kenyatta Hospital and he's in government for some time and he has been sharing about Kenya as a possible failed state. Now, let's go into the reasons why this is the situation. And here we go. Let's listen to Babu Wino in the first place. Babu Wino is telling Ruto to clear his house before he can actually say he wants to fight corruption. Will he fight himself? It's like, for those of you who have read Parliament of Owls, we have a character who fights his own shadow, all right? He fights his own shadow, the hornbill, they say, okay? So, the reality is that while the president is actually coming out to say that he's fighting corruption, he has been vindicated in this problem, guys. And today I'm here to talk about politics because it's part of the social life. Even though I consider to talk politics on Life Saga TV, here I am again talking about politics on Edutainment for Us because it's part of our educational program. Many people don't know about what's happening around them and they don't want to know. They'll tell you, leave that headache. We don't want that headache. But that headache is part of why our life is so. All right. We look around ourselves and we see a lot of problems. Health, for example, is part of the social aspect. It is among the social pillars in Kenya. Now tell me how far we are in the social pillar. Education is part of the social pillar. As far as it's an economic thing, it is also social because literacy is what makes people informed. Literacy is what makes people make informed decisions about investment. Literacy is what makes people reason differently. Literacy is what makes us even acquire opportunities to associate with other people in other countries. So guys, I am asking a simple question. Do you believe that Kenya can be a failed state if things will continue the way they are? The mayhems, the dramas, and the arguments surrounding us are just too much. All right. So let's check on Babu before we proceed. So this is what Babu had to say since the president argued about corruption in the house.
Your house first. He who comes to equity must come with clean hands. And if you're coming with dirty hands already, the executive itself is rotten. You saw what was talked about the ECT.
Welcome, Dumpling Kosi. Thank you so much. I saw you on this channel, if I'm not wrong, about 2 weeks ago. So welcome and thank you so much from South Africa. And we really appreciate you in the house. Thank you. You can give the video a like as we proceed.
In 3 years.
Ray Gibson has a really big problem. Share out. Maybe the people watching may help.
So we should start by cleaning the executive. You start by cleaning your house before cleaning the neighbor's house. Parliament is an independent body. And Parliament, I don't want to refute the claims of bribery. And I cannot also sit here to attack colleagues. But I rebuke matters corruption, because corruption has brought this country to its knees. But again, I want you to look at this thing from a different angle. What if this is just a game so that the president is seen as a victim?
Ray Gibson wants a nice woman to love. Guys, I've always said that this platform, we discuss matters social, but not actually matters love. Maybe if we open up the individual packages, we can actually get to that, because let me just break from that and talk to Ray Gibson. Ray Gibson, I understand matters social to do with wanting a partner and all that are matters that are really bothering a lot of people. But currently on this platform, we are discussing a different aspect. Maybe you can come on the special membership platform, the special packages. You can enroll there, then we discuss matters adult. And under that, we may cheerfully maybe get to have people coming to that channel because they'll know that we don't have children there. But on this platform, we have different aspects. Some of them are lessons, some of them are reactions, and they're on the mild aspect, which does not focus on partnership. So it may be very difficult to actually discuss that here. But check on my channel. I actually have adult packages. Once you become a member on that, I am really planning to have things, adult stuff and all these matters of discussions, and people will get solutions from there. But on this one, let's pay attention to the aspect I'm discussing currently, that is a political nature of Kenya and how we can be a failed state. I really appreciate and I thank you so much, Ray Gibson, for your understanding. I understand that is a great concern in the country, and that is why I placed a package known as adult stuff. If you check on my channel, there is that platform specific part which is membership only, because I want to limit the fact that we don't have kids watching that. So thank you so much. You can enroll on membership. And soon we'll be having packages going on and maybe having people coming there to specifically look for what you are sourcing for. Thank you so much. I appreciate. And thank you for your love from South Africa. We appreciate you from Africa. Support brothers and sisters. Okay, so back to the discussion. You've seen Babu Owino talking about cleaning the house before you clean the neighbor's house. It is true. You cannot clean the neighbor's house before you clean your own house. Now, when you look at the president, for example, he himself has been accused many times of corruption. And in past, we used to talk about this with a lot of fear. But we could predict. I remember if you look at my videos on Life Saga TV, you'll actually see the reality about corruption in the country, and it has not happened only today. I've told you it has happened even in institutions. Go to schools, go to hospitals. You will be queuing, waiting for your patient to be attended to, but somebody will sneak in with a patient, they'll bribe a doctor, and they'll be treated as you are sitting on the bench. In schools, if your child maybe wants to go to a certain school and maybe the schools limit the marks, if you don't have money, you will not get your child to those schools, especially national schools. Someone who has 20,000, 50,000 will easily get their child to Alliance Girls and all those schools, because we have teachers who have decided to make that a business. During the enrollment moment, it becomes a business to them because they receive money to actually enroll the children. Now, you can see here, corruption has become a normality in Kenya. In fact, some people wonder why you don't bribe. They'll be surprised that you are stopping a vehicle and you're not giving something to the police. They'll be surprised that you are going to throw a tender and you are not paying somebody to actually proxy for you. I sell books. Sometimes you go to some schools, teachers don't want to actually help you sell the books to the principal until they receive something from you. Some literally tell you, give me 2,000 shillings and I'll make sure that the principal buys books worth 20,000. You see? So that is a very matter of concern in Kenya, actually. And it has messed us up because sometimes when you don't have money, you can't get what you want and you may not be having that money. Now, Babu Owino came up and he was saying that he indeed accepts that it's wrong for the MPs to be corrupt, or MCS or governors or senators. But then the president must be a role model. We always say that people do based on what they see, not what they hear. Personally, I can't do what you tell me just because you told me. I'll look at what you do. You know, if you come about tell me professionalism and you're not professional, then I'll be questioning a lot about what you're telling me. If you tell me to love others and you don't love others, then I'll be questioning based on what I see. All right. So looking at what Babu Owino shares, then will Kenya survive from being a failed state? And what must be done? So let's look into a discussion that was actually engaging Raphael Tuju on NTV Kenya, and we see through it, okay? We see through it and understand what are the discussions surrounding that, okay? So Raphael Tuju actually came up saying that Kenya is a state that is failed.
What is the source of their power?
Let's see this.
Tribal base. Precisely. That's how we mobilize.
There's no, we're moving from that. We're shifting.
I hope so. I pray so. Because as long as we continue, I don't really think so.
Oh, I think you're going to say with the demographic that's the younger demographic.
Yes,
definitely. For the most part.
For the political class, that's still very much the operating, the modus operandi, MO. It's, yes.
It's the organizing principle.
Yes, you bring your numbers, I bring my numbers, and my numbers are based on my people, quote unquote. So that's where they are. But I think we're actually moving to issue-based politics. And this is, I'll give credit where it's due, because of William Ruto and the hustler narrative of 2022. That thing of hustlers, as much as it was still very much trying to create a narrative of us versus them, us being hustlers versus them being...
Yeah, like a classist sort
Yes, it was still classist and egregious. I love that term. But it took people away from tribal mobilization. So that moved us a little bit closer to ideological.
And 2018.
Levi Israel, welcome to the house and like the video, please.
In South Sudan, which is ethnic based, 400,000 people are killed, which means that 80,000 per year, which is double the number of people who are dying or who are killed in the clamor for independence.
Wow.
So that's how stupid this ethnic mobilization gets.
Yeah. And I think one day we're just going to have to face that issue. I want to see now, going back to Jubilee.
I highlighted some of the problems that we have. I mean, in our region, 3 members of the East African community are failed states. And if you go a little bit further, I mean, out of the top 10 failed states in the world, when you put Haiti, when you put Yemen, Afghanistan, Syria, and a few others, I mean, you know, the top 10 are from our region. Then somebody can say, you know, maybe you're being extreme. Let me just come closer home. You know, failure of a state is not happening, it's gradual. And when institutions that are anchor of the state, of the modern state, the judiciary, the executive, and the parliament become dysfunctional, those are very, very serious issues. But when the country cannot guarantee security, security is not guaranteed in this country. I can say that without any risk of contradiction, because I can challenge any of you here now, if you can get out of this place and drive to Lodwar, or go to Baringo, or drive to Lamu, or Wajir without worrying about the security situation. So parts of the
Nairobi
country
itself
are actually failed because the instruments of state are not working. The only thing which makes them Kenya is that...
All right, guys. Let's get to see. Do we think that Kenya can be a failed state in terms of security? Now, Tuju here is mentioning very extreme places, but let me assure you that even in Nairobi itself...
Anything get under our skin. If we're bleeding, we're winning. Always be like number 1 with the new Always Slim with our number 1 Cotton Comfort Top Sheet for zero
What is
irritation.
this that is playing?
0 gaps and up to 0 leaks. Nothing gets under our skin. Come close and watch us keep it.
Yeah, so guys, there is something that is actually, there has been some disconnection. There has been some sort of disconnection. But Raphael Tuju was actually trying to show us that without health, without education, without security, then we become a failed state. I don't know whether you agree with this. You can type in the comment section if you believe so. Now, guys, the reality is that Raphael Tuju has been mentioning the extremes such as Lodwar, Moyale, Garissa, Lamu, and such areas. But let me assure you, even Nairobi itself as a city, there are so many places that people are not comfortable going to. Yeah, many people are not comfortable going to the slums. Talk of Kayole, Githurai, talk about Mukuru, Kwanjenga, let's talk about Kibira, Korokocho. How many people, even within Kenya, if you're watching me, you are very comfortable if you don't live in those places going there? There are so many times I've been in Nairobi and I go to these places and people asking me, are you okay? Because they wonder, how are you going to survive in these places? There is a lot of, like people do a lot of pickpocketing. Sometimes lynching happens in these areas. We've been watching news all over the places. How many cases of death, for example, homicide or rather attacks, have we seen in different places in Kenya? So it's not even about the situation of those extremes that Tuju is mentioning here. Now let's listen more, because network has become something else, but we'll battle with it up to the end, till the end, guys, until we have 1 hour. We can't afford to play around with the economy. All right, so let's proceed until we see again. If it messes, we see what to do. But it's a matter of what is happening, the failure of a state, okay? If you've done Fathers of Nation, you understand the failure of states. It starts with poor leadership, people testifying that they are corrupt, getting to attack each other and leave the citizens wondering. Because currently, as they fight each other and they battle and raise concern, then they say they'll impeach each other. All that citizens have to do is to watch and suffer. Because are they really working for us currently? Maybe as we listen to Raphael Tuju and talk about the security of the country, for example, the many people who feel that they are insecure, maybe even in the homes. How many homes currently do we feel like you are not safe in your home? I lived in Kiambu, and this is one of the places sometimes you are living in a house, you are sleeping, but you are not sure whether you are safe. The Githunguri areas, I have friends right there, and Thika and all that. Sometimes you sleep in the house, but you're not sure whether you are sleeping and you are safe, or people have sneaked in through the compound or the gate, or they are waiting for you from outside. Actually, it happened that when I was in Kiambu, there was a man who was attacked by the gate and he was killed. Bungoma, it happens that people ride into the homes and the thieves are waiting by the gate. As you open your gate and get into your home, somebody just lynches you right away. You are killed within your compound. So when you talk about security, in fact, I'm really backing up what Raphael Tuju is saying, that we indeed have security issues. Sometimes the police even back up the thieves. I'm not saying all of them, but it happens that there was a time in Kakamega, actually there was a home that was raided at night by the thieves. And then in the morning, the dog, one of the dogs that is serving in one of the police stations, was actually used by the thieves in stealing from this home. And lucky enough, the owner of the home had enough way to back up and kill the dog. So this is how the state of Kenya operates actually. And I'm not saying it is general in all places, but in most places. Now you actually see a state of where they are claiming anarchy and all that. Now you realize that Tuju is mentioning some of the people who actually prefer to actually do away with some of the leaders instead of going into discussions. Now let's listen more to him before we come to something else to show whether Kenya is a failed state. Let's look at this.
That's the only unifying factor. We're going into a break. Still want to find out whether Jubilee was built on shaky ground. That's kind of, I'm trying to get the birth of it until your exit. I just want to understand that.
And I can say that very, very quickly before you go into the ground. The shaky ground is the country.
The shaky ground is the country, not necessarily, not the party.
Not the party. The country is shaky. I mean, ask any politician today, I mean, how to build a party. The first thing they start is to the letter Kabilagana.
Well, all right.
The question that Janet had asked you is, Was Jubilee formed on shaky ground? You said the country is formed on shaky ground. Does this mean that we are just doomed?
No, I don't think so. I mean, first of all, let me just explain the fact that the country is formed on shaky grounds. We're not a nation state. We are a geographical phenomenon brought together by the British, the 1884 Berlin Conference. So in terms of nationalities, we're very, very different in certain respects. I mean, different languages. I mean, for example, if you talk about the Nilotes in this country and the Bantus, their languages are more different than, say, German and English. In fact, it's more like the difference between English and Russian. That's how different we are in terms of language, culture, and so forth. But we find ourselves in this state. And we can decide to concentrate on those differences, but we can also decide what do we do with where we find ourselves.
Okay, so Raphael Tuji is talking about diversity and how people are using diversity in the wrong way. Of course, using the aspect of tribal politics. And tribal politics is one of the things that actually fails this country, because when people focus on that and fail to see the similarity and the similarity of differences, the challenges we face, it becomes a great problem. We've seen that, yeah? We've seen people talking about ours, theirs, and that is a very dangerous political ground. So away from that, what else makes us a failed state? Maybe let me just get to see something here. Let's get to see something else here. Meanwhile, before we proceed, and I saw something else that really made me want to look into other aspects that actually may pronounce us possibly as a failed state if we are not careful. All right. My goodness, the leaking videos. I think you've seen some leaking videos from the end of MPs. All right, and let's be looking at that. Yeah, I saw them on the board and elsewhere. So it comes out clearly that all that the government has been doing, including impeaching Gachagua, passing the SHA, passing the House what? I don't even like referring to those words. The aspect of the House Development Project, the aspect of the 2024 bill and 2025, all right, the budgetary aspect. When you look at all that, then you realize that actually the president has been using the MPs to do what he has to do, then he appreciates them, and then he goes ahead. Now, unfortunately or fortunately, some of the MPs had the videos. Now they are leaking out, and I'm so sure that even calls will be leaked out. You remember that time there was somebody who came up and said he had been called by the president, and there were arguments about it. And some people are very quick to believe what the president said and says maybe it's just a quarrel, a sour marriage that has gone sour out of divorce. You remember? I hope all of us remember when Gachagua came out talking about it. All right. So let's go into the leaked messages, guys. We have leaked messages about what happened during all times, and now MPs are coming out to reveal the corruption that has been happening. So let's just check on that, and we are still holding on to the fact that can Kenya become a failed state if we are not careful, okay? From MPs. Yeah, so let's look at this. So we have WhatsApp messages that have leaked out, and they can actually incriminate the president. Let me just go through a shortcut and use David Wafula. I think he has clear, but some of them were actually shown on bold. But this is the message today. Of course, if you read the newspaper today, Standard, that is the headline, use and dump, with the picture of the president taking a cup, taking some tea or coffee, I don't know, but Kenya we do tea than coffee. So on this platform, the puppeteer communication, including excerpts from in-house WhatsApp groups in our possession, revealed President William Ruto's hand in parliamentary misdeeds despite his recent tirade against the House, from passing of the unpopular Finance Bill 2024 to the removal of former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua and passing of unpopular laws such as Affordable Housing Act of 2024. Ruto has used parliament to serve his agenda and not the people's. All right? So everybody who has been watching Kenya on the Limelight, you've seen the e-citizen question, which was so recent. And guys, we've made passports, we've done IDs. Some people have been doing marriage certificates, burial certificates. We've also had something to do with the help. We've had land matters. And which other services, licenses, and so many have been paying all that through e-citizen, guys. But then when the question of corruption came out, that is when now the president now came out to speak about something. And then we heard about anti-laundering bill that had been financed by Kimani Ichung'wah. And then we heard about the 150 million shillings, something that is actually insinuated that Ichung'wah had sneaked, or rather got it through back doors. Okay. Now, among the leaked messages, let's just check this. Let's go slow by slow. I like that. I don't like rushing. So one of the leaked aspects is this. You can see that clearly, all right? From Project 22, and that is a WhatsApp group, all right? The government WhatsApp group. MP Karemba Murkomen Waziri. MP Osoro says, Honorable members of bicameral parliament, thank you and congratulations. You have restored the dignity of the parliament and country's leadership. The former DP was indeed an embarrassment, not only to himself, but to those of us that fought for the still and still defend. Now, if you look at the entire thing, it's an appreciation after they have actually impeached Gachagua, or rather Gachagua. And of course, we had during that time somebody came up, was it? I think it was Onyonka. Onyonka came up and said that some people had been paid. And because that time we did not have a... Alright guys, the problem is network, but we have to battle with it. We are at 37 minutes and we still have 23 minutes to end this, alright? We'll keep battling with it until the end. So guys, looking at the leaking messages, it's actually sickening, very sickening that all these people made out of noise. I remember they had to burn the oil and the president had to run out of the country, go to USA or something like that. Just what did he do? He was doing that to create space for no blame, okay? So he was creating space not to be blamed. But the reality is that what he was doing, and now that they have leaked, and remember the MPs are just leaking this because they were attacked recently at Karen. And since then, when they went to parliament and they realized that EACC is coming for some of them, they decided to go ballistic with the president. But the reality is that these leaders represent themselves. They don't represent us at all, at all. And that is one of the reasons why we could say that Kenya can be a failed state, because if the leaders don't see the reason to actually defend the citizens, they want to defend their pocket, they want to defend their situations, they want to defend their friends. Look at hiring currently. And I want you to just take a sample, go to institutions and check out on those who are hired recently. You will be surprised that there are situations whereby people have used ethnic hiring or connections, you know. So, you know, when Gachagua started speaking, of course, even me, I was very pessimistic about his sentiments. I thought it was out of despair that he was coming out to pour a lot, indicating how some institutions have sold. I was surprised yesterday Sifuna reiterated some of the statements, saying that Webuye Sugar Company, not Webuye Pan Paper, the paper company, land was sold. I was so surprised. Telling us that Kenya Pipeline is almost being sold. I was so surprised that the Nzoia Sugar Company was sold, and now the person on the ground is actually sacking the former staff. That Mumias Sugar Company has been on the knees because of the state aspects. And he also mentioned something else. I think he mentioned that money meant for education is actually being looted for ghost schools. They are paying ghost schools, which means people are actually siphoning funds while they are making schools delay. Currently, schools are opening tomorrow or some today, but there is no money at all on the ground. Why these delays? Okay. So, and you find somebody like CJ Kome, what he tells the parliament is that they should respect judiciary decisions. When judiciary itself is a rotten ground full of corruption, covering up sins that are not supposed to, you know. I may not be recognizing you because my phone, once it disconnects, I can't see the chats unless I check on the computer, and I'm still also trying to focus because the net is really disturbing, becoming a nuisance, and therefore I just feel like I should try so much. Now, looking at aspects like broad-based government, Babu Owino himself said that it became broad-based corruption instead of broad-based government. So we have so many people. We have the likes of Mbadi, the former governor of Kakamega. All right. We have people like Andai. Now, Andai, you actually realize that he has come out to call, to really actually condone people Chungwa, all right? And I'll be covering that on Life Saga TV. I don't want to, finish everything here because here I only deal with social matters. Now, you've heard also Raphael Tuju talking about social amenities such as health. Now, currently in Kenya, I was surprised. There is something that I was so surprised about, that the one of the workers at SHA actually owns a given hospital in, is it Garissa or Wajir? And his hospital was paid several millions, 60 millions. But when you look at the state of affairs, let me just check for that receipt, guys. I won't save that. That one I must show. Okay. And he earns a lot from SHA, yet he also owns. Let's just check on this, guys. Such a saddening aspect, such a saddening one. Okay. I think it's this. Let's just check this. Yeah, so I looked at that and I was like, really? Yeah, here. Yes, it is here. Abdi Mohammed. Abdi Mohammed is a former co-founder, CEO, and managing director of a hospital known as Ladan Hospital. Okay. He was at the University of Nairobi, now currently at Social Health Authority. Now, unfortunately, Mohammed Abdi actually acquires almost 60 million Kenyan shillings from the hospital through SHA, while there are institutions which help, or rather, I was in hospital last week, and SHA is not working in some hospitals because they claim that the government does not give them money in time. So they have decided not to actually offer services at all. Now, let's look at this hospital, ladies and gentlemen. And I want you to tell me whether this hospital, Adnan, is actually looking like one that received 60 million shillings. Let's look at this. So sickening when you look at such matters in a country. All right, here it is.
Its cash flow at
That is Ladnan Hospital. That hospital looks like it was constructed just the other day and painted just as a symbol, a simple way of looting funds. Now, let's listen to a lady here who is revealing details about what is happening on the ground, and you'll be surprised. That is why they are saying Kenya might become a failed state. And the reality is that when you look on the ground, the gap between the wealthy and the poor is widening. And this is something we used to study in sociology, that the few people acquire wealth and become the, we call them dynastities of a country. What they make sure is they will lead forever, and they suppress these poor people, the majority. So the majority will actually be waiting for the few coins, the few opportunities from them, and they are desperate. So the aspect of despair actually will maintain them there. And there is no way the poor will go up unless, unless, mark that. Okay, let's listen to this.
Appointed for the next 3 years by yours truly, Kasongo. Now, this is where it gets interesting. So, SHA works in selective places, and if you ask me, I believe the selective places where it works, there are people who are benefiting directly from the proceeds of SHA. So, it is working at Ladnan Hospital because he is also the chairperson of SHA. So, yeah. Jipelekea biashara, then directly he's reaping from SHA. That's why people are saying SHA is working selectively, selective few places. Now, I wanted to show you something. Please watch the next video. Tafadhali.
It's true that chairman should be summoned and investigated.
Hey, this is Kenya for you. But they are investigating people who steal chicken, people who maybe jump over the fences, people who actually ran around the streets during Sabasaba, people who are suspected to be actually in I don't know, this group that is of the retired and sacked police. That is the work we are seeing. Now, we have corn business also that has come out through these organizations, something to do with the empowerment programs. Corny empowerment programs. Let me just show a video and we'll be ending there because we'll be almost at 60 minutes. Though we have had a lot of problems with the internet today. But if you look at that, what do you think? Because I was actually in a hospital and I was using AON, but the people who were using SHA, they were being told that it cannot work. And I remember there were sick people who required like a bill of 80,000 shillings. Some of them had gone through an accident and they couldn't be served unless they get cash. You understand how it is? Now, I'm just asking myself, for those who are not able to go to a private hospital, what happens? Because I don't remember the last time I was in a public hospital. I think it was 2012 when I was having 2012. That is the last time I was actually in public hospital. Because you go there, there's no medicine. In the first place, you will be tested and they'll tell you, go buy medicine. So you don't see the sense of going there. And therefore, all the insurances have been diverted to private hospitals. Yet, these private hospitals have also learned the tactic. So what they do is, if you go to a public hospital, for example, a private hospital, and they know you are using SHA or you are using AON, they'll give you low quality medicine. Possibly what we call, how do you call them? We have the first class, which are the very original medicine, and we have medicine. Yeah, hybrid. So they'll give you hybrid medicine, and in my experience, you'll be sick this week, and after 2 weeks, you'll go back because you are sick. After 4 weeks, you'll go back, and they'll give you the same medicine because they have your records. So all the time you go, they test, they say you don't have malaria, and they only test malaria, no other disease. And I'm like, really? Like in Kenya, do we have only to test malaria and that is all? So it is only malaria that has symptoms such as bone, tediousness, like you have some sort of headache, you have some sort of flu. The only thing they'll ever taste, I swear before God, it's malaria. And they stop from there. Then they write some things down. You don't have malaria, you don't have this. Then they give you the antibiotics. And what I understand from the little medical knowledge I have, antibiotics work against our systems. Like the immunity goes low. Because I compare myself when I was a child, I never used to be sick often. I could even stay a whole year, I'd be sick only twice or thrice. But now in adulthood, I'm sick, even monthly. Sometimes several times in a month. And now I've just realized of late that it's possibly out of the drugs they give us. They give us these hybrid drugs that go recycling diseases. You are sick 1 week, after 2 weeks you are sick again, and the almost similar symptoms. Sometimes you just finish the pill that you have been given, the dosage that is, and once you finish, you again see yourself going back to the cycle of sickness, guys. They say make money so that you'll be smiling to spend. I think those people who come with cash, sometimes they are attended better and they are given better medicine. But if you are going with insurance and they decided to cut our pay slips and loot all our health insurance, we used to earn something known as health allowance when I started working. But currently it was cut out of the pay slip. We now have this scandal about leaks of messages on acts that have been passed under president, including the house care. Hey. And nobody is ready to tell us why they did all this. They are not even eliminating it from our payslip, but they still come and laugh at us and talk to us that they have been stealing. I was surprised when the president stood at Karen and talked about how they bribe each other to pass bills. And I was like, are you serious? Are you really serious? Because if a president can stand up and say that that member of so and so, what is his role? And then they say his role is corruption, just to extort. Are we not one team? Did the money that I give, was given 20 million, did it reach you? And they say no. Hey, that's a joke. Indeed, it's a failed state. If this continues, it's a failed state. Now, let's look at some other discussions surrounding Parliament visit. We have about 9 minutes to end this. I saw that on Obina show, I think. Something to do with one term and two term, and they were arguing surrounding the aspect of the corn business surrounding empowerment, whereby people are called to State House, the young people. Karen Nyamu has been really discussed under this. He gave tickets to people to go to State House, but when they went there, they were shown motorbikes, but they were never given the motorbikes as they were leaving. What a shock. A failed state indeed, okay? A failed state. So let's check on that, because I saw that discussion. Gobina has so many shows, so I'm not so sure which one. There are so many shows that he runs. But I was just talking about the aspect of corn. There was this corn business about the empowerment in State House. And I'm trying to check for it because his channels are just too many. Let me just check on this one. But I've seen something about the young people who are revealing what happened there. And I don't know. Let me check here. But you guys, I think we have to be informed. Let's be informed, especially Kenyans or anybody who has a voter in Kenya. Let's get people to understand what's happening on the ground so that they don't just vote blindly, going for actually choosing new leaders without understanding why or why not, okay? We have Linda shows, we have Ogobina. I'm seeing he's doing a lot to update people on matters. Yeah, it was alive today. There was a live today. Something here. I was watching on a channel that is not on my computer. That's why it's taking time for me to get it. But I think I can even talk about it without referring. Only that sometimes I like supporting with videos so that I don't I look like I'm doing it just to talk about some things that I'm not so sure about, but I back them with facts. Okay, so let's check here. So thank you guys. You are really watching, but people are forgetting to like the video. Yeah, I think it's here. There is that discussion here about the corn aspect. It was a very long discussion, actually. Yeah, here it is. So remember to like the videos. Also subscribe if you have not subscribed to the channel. Actually, we are growing, and that's why we are battling on this field. So remember to do that because it is what it is.
Sisi ndio watu tulienda kwa mheshimiwa huko kuchukua bidhaa. Documents. We were there. Okay. So I'm a reformed one term. I'm a reformed one term.
So initially you were saying one
I
term.
was saying one term. Now let me give you reasons
Okay.
what brought me to one term.
Okay.
You see, there's a proverb that says, no matter how long the jet of your urine goes, the last drop is always
Brought
at
him
your
to
feet.
one term, mama to two term.
When
Now
a
he's saying
wise
why
man
he
is
was
articulating wisdom,
Bino, can you
no.
Can you begin?
When I want to talk, when I want to bring wisdom on board,
Bring him to one term, mama to two term.
Songa.
No, kindly tell
Can you
Songa
proceed?
Songa
Can you proceed?
to
Can you
keep
proceed?
quiet when a
Let
wise
him
man is
proceed.
talking.
Let
I
him
want to
proceed.
address the nation.
What are you explaining what is happening?
Okay,
What is happening?
can we get
Single room.
ukijenga hapa
Ukirent, if you rent, ni pesa ngapi? Na kama Ruto anakata pesa yetu akujengea nyumba, mbona tena tunalipa deposit kuingia kwa hizo manyumba na anakata pesa yetu? Na hizi pesa tuna deposit zinaenda wapi? Last time during Uhuru's time tulikuwa na NHIF. NHIF ilikuwa nafanya kazi nzuri. Ruto akiingia akakuja na hii yake.
Let me sip.
I think you know it.
There is no conversation.
Nyamaza. Umejua most of you people.
You cannot.
Percentage of completion is
About 70%.
about 70%.
You are given a startup money for what you've been trained on. For example, if you're an electrical engineer, you may train you in the basics of electrical engineering. If you are being trained on matters plumbing.
Sasa hapo hiyo ndio reason why unaona most of people walikuwa natupa soda chini na maji.
Kwa nini?
Hiyo ilikuwa ni kama ilikuwa inanyesha kidogo mvua. Kitu kama saa 4 hivi saa 3 hivi. Masa tulikuwa tunaingia.
Okay.
Sasa kulingana
You get in an official.
then I don't want to mention generally.
The motorbikes and generators that were brought to State House were taken back to the company for registration. So be humble.
To be humble mpaka wewe.
Okay. Now, my brother Oyo, now this is the part where you'll agree with me. You see, such type of mishaps is what is painting the government in bad light. So when someone was planning for this youth empowerment program, nobody thought to register, then do this, all the generators. Nobody sat down and said, wait a minute, we've procured how many do this? These are 20,000 people. Let's register them.
So guys, you actually see that the motorbikes that do this, it's the same thing, guys. We had motorbikes, we had tanks, we had portion mills, we had hair dryers and all that were brought to the State House for youth empowerment. Many people came up complaining. In fact, there is that Opio, is it Opio Kamau somebody, or Odhiambo Kamau Odhiambo, somebody from Kisumu. He came up complaining, and later on he said that his life is, he's feeling insecure since he announced what happened. Now we can see in the studio, of course, social media is one of the things that informs us a lot, okay? Through such interviews, we get to know a lot, okay? And that's why I don't deafen my ears to such things. I listen to them because I know they have some information that they can get to us, okay? So when you get an empowerment program whereby things are brought, they are actually, exposed, and then young people take, especially those who are saying one term, they take their pictures and spread all over the place saying that they have got the motorbikes. Then it comes out that people slowly begin to unleash and say they never got it. You get where we are? If not a failed state, what are we? So we really had a lot of disturbance on network, and we come to the end of this because our 60 minutes are over. But if we decide to talk about Kenya and why we should consider it a failed state, there is a lot to talk about. How does one come out to pronounce that they'll fill the baskets? That is the Electoral Commission baskets. A lady just comes out in a meeting and says that. And away from that, we hear another guy standing and saying we must force him to be a 2-term. How can he be 1 term? Another one stands up and says that, what are you saying? We are afraid of going to prison. We know what Gachagua can do, so we will force him in. So you just realize that people are actually selfish. So in Kenya, we have a lot of selfishness, the corruption, impunity. We have lawlessness. We have the use of even militia and, specific groups that people are using here, up and there. The matter of attacking each other only when they are defending themselves. The battles that are necessary. The negligence, the level of negligence is very high. People stealing through ghost projects and ghost workers, it's a common concept. And when you look around, if a state does not have a stable education, stable health, stable social systems that will actually support security, among other things, and business itself, then it becomes a failed state. So from what has been actually purported, it might be true that if we are not careful, Kenya might become a failed state indeed. So thank you so much for coming on board. Let's stay tuned. Edutainment here, we do entertainment, we do correctional aspects, we do lessons. So today I decided to bring something else away from the reaction that I normally react towards Nyabohanse or Ogobina or other matters, and I've had to bring in other facts so that we see another aspect of life. So bye-bye. Thank you for being here.